The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our new monthly power rankings of the NHL teams. Every month, I'm going to be coming to you near the beginning of the month with the new monthly updated power rankings. And we're starting in July. We're starting very early. We are 2 days removed from free agency. We have an idea of what teams could look like come October when the season begins, but they're not fully fleshed out, and that's why this is the way too early July NHL power rankings. And to start, it would be awfully disrespectful of me to not put the Florida Panthers number one. As you can see on the, I guess to you, it's the left side of the screen is where the list will be formed. If you're anybody listening, I have a Pages document open, like it's Word, except on Mac. Pages is what they call it. I've filled in there the top two slots. Number one, it would be disrespectful for me to not put Florida Panthers number one. They've not lost too much off of their roster, so where you can knock them off the pedestal of being the champions. They just won the Stanley Cup. They are the champions. They are the number one team on the power rankings. I've already put it down there in the Pages doc. Below me, for anybody listening, below me on the screen for people watching, they can see Daily Faceoff, where I have the lines of all the teams pulled up as I go through them, just so I know what I'm working with, what I'm looking at. So if I got anything wrong with the lines and who's there right now, blame Daily Faceoff and don't blame me. So there you go. All right, number two. I don't need to spend time on that one, right? Number one's the Florida Panthers. If you disagree, that's ridiculous. They just won the Stanley Cup. They lost Lomberg, okay. They lost Tarasenko, okay. They lost OEL, okay. 3 big losses there, but we look at the lineup here. Verhaeghe's still there. Barkov, Reinhart, Tkachuk, Bennett, Rodriguez, Lundell. Like, most of the team is still there. And on D, Forsling, Ekblad, Kulikov, Mikkola. Like, it's all still there. The big pieces of it. I'm not too worried about them losing some of this lineup in free agency this week. I think they're still the number one team. It'd be disrespectful not to put them number one. Moving on. Edmonton. The Edmonton Oilers are number 2 on the list. As with the Florida Panthers, how can you not just put the team that, through sheer will, fought their way back from 29th? I don't think they ever reached 30th because Anaheim and San Jose would have been down there, but near the bottom of the standings in November to the Stanley Cup final. They have Connor McDavid. They have Leon Draisaitl. They have Zach Hyman. They added Jeff Skinner. They added Victor Arvidsson. I was contemplating minutes before this video when I hit record on it, putting the Edmonton Oilers at number 1, but Florida beat them. So I can't do that. But maybe in August, maybe come August, I'll have Edmonton number 1. But for now, they're the number 2 team on the power rankings. In their D pairings, they're going to look awfully the same as last year's. Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Broberg, Kulak, Ceci is what Daily Faceoff is saying with their line pairings. Their forward group is just going to be bolstered with Arvidsson, as I mentioned, and Skinner, and who knows what they do in the Evander Kane trade that looks to be eventually coming. So number 1 and number 2 are Florida and Edmonton. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Don't need to go too much further into those teams. Now we get to the interesting stuff. I think number 3 is the team that was eliminated by the Edmonton Oilers, the Dallas Stars. Let's write in our handy dandy Word doc, the Dallas Stars at 3. Because actually, you know what? Quick first pivot. New York Rangers. The New York Rangers, I think, got to be number 3 on this. They put up a good fight against the Florida Panthers, but the New York Rangers, I like what they haven't done as opposed to what Dallas has done. New York hasn't made a big move yet. They still need to re-sign Lindgren and Schneider. I think they both need new deals. Keandre Miller's still there. Adam Fox is there, and they need to do a Trouba something. They're probably just going to keep him at this point, but Trouba's still there. And then on the forward group, it's Kreider, Zibanejad. Riley Smith is the big addition where New York jumps Dallas in my power rankings. I was going to put Dallas 3, but I'm saying Dallas is 4. New York is 3. I'm not looking at the keyboard. I was trying to type. Now I have typed Dallas Stars correct, who will be number 4 on the power ranking. So the final 4 teams are the top 4 in my power rankings. I think that's fair because New York adds. They were a couple wins away from making the Stanley Cup final, and now they have a solid addition to their top 6. And that was really all they were missing. If we're honest, New York was a top 6 player away from making the finals and a little bit solid more defense. I shouldn't say that's all they were missing. They're missing 2 things there. A little bit solid more defense and a top 6 winger. And they got the top 6 winger. Let's see how the defense forms. But I'm going to have them ahead of Dallas. And then Dallas is going to be number 4. And that's strictly because I don't like the Bushkin and Dumba deals. I don't like them. I don't think they make sense. One of them maybe, but both, it doesn't make sense to me. Dallas has been dangerous all last year. Like, we've looked at Dallas as almost a perfect team, but then Edmonton beat them. So the luster and like the shine I have around Dallas has been it's a little less shiny these days, a little dull. So I'm putting New York ahead of them on my power rankings, and I think it's like I'm at them 4th best team in the league. I'm not disrespecting them, Dallas fans. I know you want to be ahead of New York, but I gotta put you at 4. All right. Now we get into, this will be interesting. What are we working with? Is it the new and improved Nashville Predators, or is it the Vancouver Canucks? I'm leaning a lot to the Vancouver Canucks right now because they proved it. They did it last year, and they beat the Nashville Predators. So I'm going to lock in there at number 5 in the power rankings, the Vancouver Canucks. And thanks for doing this with me together as I work through this. I clearly haven't I kind of mapped it out in my head, but I didn't write anything down. And we're doing this together as I work through the power rankings. And I can always go back, change it. None of this is locked in stone, but we're doing the Vancouver Canucks at number 5 on our NHL July power rankings. And that's because the Vancouver Canucks did lose a lot because they gained a lot during the season. They got a whole bunch of players during the season so that they can have them for the playoff run. They got Zadorov, they got Lindholm. They really bolstered the lineup, and they left. But they got Jake DeBrusk. They got Jake DeBrusk to fill in there. They got Denton Heinen as well, 2 ex-Boston Bruins. And their defense of Hughes, Hronek, Soucy, Myers, Forbort, Desharnais is solid. Like, I got no problem with that right now. We'll see how it plays out in the season, but I don't think it's a little bit of a drop-off from what they had, their deep pairings that they had in the playoffs, but it's not that far. And the forward group, I think, is only getting better. Pettersson looked timid. He looked like he hadn't been on a deep playoff run ever in his life, and that was the case. I think with another year under his belt, knowing what playoff hockey in Vancouver is now, having Dakota Joshua healthy, having Brock Besser there with Jake DeBrusk on the wings. Vancouver is dangerous. A healthy Demko changes everything as well. Vancouver, I expect to go on another deep run next season. I have them number 5 in the league, and the new and improved Nashville Predators have skipped all the way up to number 6 on the official JBSR NHL Power Rankings. Number 6, the Nashville Predators have a rejuvenated Steven Stamkos, a chip on the shoulder Steven Stamkos, I should say, a chip on the shoulder Jonathan Marchessault on the wing as well. And this adds to Philip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, Gus Nyquist, Colton Sissons. They're still lacking a little bit of scoring talent, but we'll see how much of that scoring talent Steven Stamkos can be, how much of it Jonathan Marchessault can be. I still would have liked them to see them add another forward in English. I can't even speak right now. Tommy Novak as your penciled in second line center isn't the greatest thing in the world. We will see if there's another move in the Preds, but right now, based on everything they've done, based on having Shea, Yossi, Lozon, Carrier, Stastny, and Shen on D, The Nashville Predators, I think, are 6th in the NHL Power Rankings. We're getting into the debatable portions of the Power Rankings. Number 7. Number 7, I think, is a team that is always good, but we're not sure how good they can be because they're not very deep. It's the Colorado Avalanche, number 7 on my power rankings. And I think a lot of people might have had the Hurricanes ahead of them, but the Hurricanes are coming in later. Nathan MacKinnon cannot be counted out. At no point can you ever say that a Nathan MacKinnon team is out of it. He hasn't reached that point in his career yet. A team like the Pittsburgh Penguins, where Crosby's on the later stages of his career, of Evgeny Malkin, Letang, like I'm bringing up a team with a generationally great player. And he's at a point in his career, Crosby, where it's like the team might not make the playoffs. 2 years in a row, they didn't make the playoffs. Nathan MacKinnon is not at that point in his career yet. He's at a point where you must rely on him to ice a good team. And that no matter the lack of depth that Colorado has, they have a fighting chance to be one of the best teams in the National Hockey League. They are at number 7 with McKinnon, Rantanen, Drouin, Middlestat, an important piece, an important addition. Lehkonen, Wood. I'm looking for Kiviranta. Like it's a steep decline out of the first 2 lines on their forward group there in Colorado. But they always have Devon Taves and Cale Makar in the back end. Sam Girard and Josh Manson, Calvin DeHaan, and Eric Brandstrom, who's a nice addition to this team. I'm not counting out Colorado. Colorado has always been a contender in my eyes. I have them at number 7 in the power rankings. I think like even Avs fans would have Colorado a little lower than what I have them, but I believe in Colorado. I believe they're a very good team. Coming in next, it's going to be a tight one. We got some contenders for the next few positions. I'm going to write down some teams because I think all of these teams are a little close, and I'm stretching over here because I want to move the keyboard a little closer to me. So it's not official, but I'm thinking Vegas, Carolina, Oh, Winnipeg has to be there. Oh, Winnipeg. Let me just put down Winnipeg. And I'll recap for you, everybody listening. You can't see the list on screen. We got Florida, Edmonton, New York, Dallas, Vancouver, Nashville, Colorado. And I'm trying to figure out 8 through 12 here because there's a lot of close teams in this bunch, and it's just about sorting them now. Boston is in this clump, even though I think Boston takes a step back. Toronto, we all know that the Maple Leafs can't perform in the playoffs. And Tampa. All right. Let me sort through these together with you. This little stretch from 8 to 13 are the teams that I think are real close. And Vegas, I don't think it's finishing at 8. Vegas, to me, is not finishing at 8 because they struggled in the regular season. Some of that's injuries. They didn't have a healthy lineup until the playoffs when everybody magically is healthy again. And then they lost. They lost in the first round to the Dallas Stars. Vegas has to drop back a little on this list. Carolina is always a dangerous team, but they lost a lot this offseason. And then there's Winnipeg. Winnipeg had a spectacular regular season, and then they lost to Colorado in the playoffs. And they got whooped in the end. You know, it wasn't close. Hellebuck, I don't know what happened to Hellebuck, but it wasn't close in the end. So I think, though, we got to do Carolina, Winnipeg, Tampa, Vegas, Boston, Toronto. I think that's it. All right. So I said Carolina, so we'll just take that out. And then we'll go through the lineups here just to make sure I think I know what I'm talking about. Winnipeg. And this, I trust Vegas so much, but I don't know if I should. Vegas, Tampa at 11 here. And then Boston, Toronto. All right. Here we go. Let me read it out to everybody. Florida, number 1. 2, Edmonton. 3, New York. 4, Dallas. 5, Vancouver. 6, Nashville. 7, Colorado. 8, Carolina. 9, Winnipeg. 10, Vegas. 11, Tampa. 12, Boston. 13, Toronto. Let's go through Carolina's lineup here. The one I have at number 8. That was, I'm sweating. I'm sweating after that. Aho, Svechnikov, Jarvis. They have on daily faceoff right now, the forward group down the middle for Carolina, Aho, Jack Drury, Jordan Staal, and Kuznetsov. They still got Marty Nietzsche there. They still got Jesper Fast. They got Jordan Martinook. They're like having Gensel there was so important, and Gensel's no longer there. Kotkaniemi, William Carrier on D. Slavin, Burns, Orlov, Walker, Ghost Bear, and Chatfield. I don't know. I might move Winnipeg ahead. So let's look at the Winnipeg line combos. Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, Ehlers, Vlad Nemestikov, Perfetti, Nino, Lowry, Appleton. And then the fourth line is there. And the D pairings, Morrissey, DeMello, Sandberg, Pionk, Colin Miller, who's a new signing, and Logan Stanley. So the team pretty much is identical from last season with the addition of Colin Miller. And then obviously you have Connor Hellebuck in goal. Based on the losses that Carolina had this offseason and how weak they looked in the first 3 games against New York, but the Carolina also won a round. And I'm unsure their goaltending, like how good is their goaltending going to be? It's Anderson, Kochekov again. I'll leave Carolina there or I'll leave Winnipeg there. Vegas, Tampa, we have a discussion. I think I got to move Tampa ahead of Vegas on second thought. Let's do this. Let's move Tampa ahead of Vegas. I might even move Tampa ahead of... You know what? Is Tampa a better team than Carolina and Winnipeg? I think a lot of people would say that. They're definitely right now on paper better than Vegas, I would say. They have Kucherov. They have Point. They just added Gensel. In a 7-game series, who's going to be the favorite? Winnipeg or Tampa? Carolina or Tampa? I'm going to put Tampa ahead. I think I got to put, even though I'm down on the Lightning I got to put them ahead of Winnipeg here. We're moving up Tampa, even though I don't like the Sergachev move. I don't like the McDonough move. I don't like getting rid. Well, Jeannot, I guess you do that because of the assets, but I'll move them ahead of Winnipeg. Winnipeg's 10, Tampa's 9. I can pull up their lineup here. Tampa's on daily faceoff. Gensel, Point, Kucherov, Hagel, Sorelli, Atkinson, Sheary, Paul, Easmont, Zegmis, Luke, Glendening, and I don't think Mitchell Chaffee plays that fourth line role, so they'll need something there. Hedman, Radish, McDonough, Chernak, JJ Moser, and Nick Perbix. You know, that might also be a better lineup than Carolina, especially with Vasi. I'm moving Tampa up. Tampa's 8. Screw it. Screw it, everybody. I'm caving to the pressure. I'm caving to the pressure of Tampa fans in my head screaming, hey, this team's better than Carolina. I believe you. I believe you. It has been changed. The new number 8 on the list, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa, Carolina, Winnipeg. Number 11, Vegas. Now, I am bullish on Vegas more so than I think most other hockey fans. Barbashev, Eichel, Holtz, Hurdle's still there. Stone's still there. William Karlsson. You know, they lose Marchessault. They lose Carrier, Hannafin on D, Petro, Brandon McNabb, Shea Theodore, Nick Hague, Zach Whitecloud. That's how it looks as of now. Aiden Hill and Isaiah Seville in net. They got Zach Aston Reese. Wow. I'm bullish on this Vegas team. I think their defense is still one of the best in the league, and defense wins you championships. I think Vegas's 6 defensemen compete with anybody else's in the league, and it's hard for me to put them lower. It's a stretch, I think, even to do 11 here, but I'm going to put them at 11. I like Vegas's squad. I like their D. Boston comes in next. Oh, okay. So Boston, Toronto. Let's figure out the next little group here in case we need to shuffle them around. I'm solid with the top 11. Top 11 is done. Very happy with that. Vegas rounds out the top 11. Let's figure out this next group of 5 here. It's something along the lines of Boston, Toronto, New Jersey. Just looking through like playoff teams from last year. The Kings got to be in here, but I'm not a big fan of the Kings and their offseason moves right now. Rob Blake, I don't believe in him. The Islanders. Oh, and the Capitals made the playoffs last year. So the Islanders are actually be 17 there. Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals made the playoffs last year and got better. So they got to be in there somewhere. Who am I? The Red Wings, the Wild. Minnesota was competitive up until the end. I'm going to put the Wild and pencil them in. So for everybody listening, what I just kind of jotted down was the next tier of hockey teams. It's sorry, I'm just typing out the Blues. So it's some combination of Boston, Toronto, New Jersey, LA, Washington, New York, Minnesota, St. Louis. New Jersey didn't make the playoffs last year. And that, I'm like weary to put them so high, but I think out of all of these teams here, they've improved the most. I love what they've done so far in the offseason, getting Stefan Nason, getting Brett Pesce, getting Brendan Dillon. Fabulous stuff from the Devils, and getting Jacob Markstrom. That's what they've improved upon from last year. And having Jake Allen and Markstrom for the whole season. It's going to be great. I want New Jersey there, but I can't put them ahead of the Leafs. I can't put them ahead of the Boston Bruins. Boston gets the spot ahead of the Leafs simply because they beat them. They beat them in playoffs. Like, I can't. Right now, Toronto's the same on paper. Like, Toronto improved I shouldn't say Toronto's the same on paper. Toronto improved their D totally. Is that make them better than Boston, who lost Jake DeBrusk? I don't know. Let's pull up the Boston's lineup right now. It's a coin flip for me with Boston and Toronto. Boston's got Lindholm now. They got still Zaka and Coyle. I assume that'll be the 3 centers. Daily Face has got Zaka on the wing, though. Pasta's there. Marchand, Morgan Geekie, Trent Frederick. Lowry on D, McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo, Zadorov, and Peak. So Boston also improves their core with Lindholm and Zadorov. I like it. I'm going to put Boston ahead of Toronto. I don't say Toronto's D that they added makes up for their loss to Boston in the playoffs. So Toronto is behind Boston at 13. Boston is 12 behind Vegas at 11. Next up, New Jersey. I think New Jersey has to be 14 with all of their improvements this offseason. And then we get a little tight with the Kings, Caps, Isles, Blues, Wild. Wild and Blues are down there below the Isles, Caps, Kings. Kings lose points in my book for their offseason moves, so we're dropping them somewhere below the Capitals and Islanders. Do we have the Islanders or the Capitals ahead? Who's better there? Let's see. Islanders. Why am I struggling? There. It's in alphabetical order. I'm stupid. Horvat, Duclair, Barzal, Engvall, Nelson. Nah. Sorokin and Varlamov are still in net. Cool, but I got to put the Caps ahead of the Islanders here. I like what the Capitals are doing in terms of additions. Plus, they have a lot of young talent. Caps got PLD, Mangiapane, and Taylor Radish, and Brandon Duhaime this offseason. Like those additions, along with Ovechkin, obviously, Dylan Strome, who's there, and Tom Wilson, who's always there. Chychrun as well. Matt Roy as well. John Carlson, Sandin's there, Faravari, and TVR. It's solid stuff from Washington. I think it's New Jersey, then Washington, then the Islanders, then Minnesota, who is looking like they can compete for a bottom wild card spot. We'll see. Kaprizov, Rossi, Zuccarello, Johansson, Joel Eriksson, Ek, Matt Boldy is what the top six looks like according to Daily Faceoff. And on D, Brodin, Faber, Middleton, Spurgeon. I think I'm going to move down the Wild. We also have the Penguins here. The Penguins are in this tier for sure. Looking at the Wild's lineup, I don't think I like it that much. I think I'll put the Penguins. Pittsburgh Penguins. All right. Pittsburgh Penguins at 18. Blues or Wild? That is a hard question. The Blues are here. Bushnavis, Thomas, Kyrou, Shenz, Shad, Neighbors, Matthew Joseph. I don't like the Blues D. Like, I feel like they're missing something. Parayko, Krug, Falk, Nick Leddy. Like, not the biggest fan. It's a real toss-up here between the Blues and the Wild. I think these two teams are interchangeable in the standings. They will be competing with each other with next season, just as they were last season. Seattle's in this region as well. Seattle's there along with... Let's fill out the next tier. So we went Pittsburgh, who I didn't even bring up their lineup. Drew O'Connor, Daily Faceoff has on the first line. Oof. Crosby, Rust, Bunting, Malkin, Raquel, Beauvillier, Hayes, Lizotte, like not great. Marcus Pettersson, Chris Letang, Ryan Graves, Oh, they have two Letangs here. Oh my gosh, I gotta drop down Pittsburgh. They don't even have enough players. Daily Faceoff's got Matt Grzelcyk and Jack St. Ivany. I don't even know who that is. They got two Chris Letangs and a guy I don't know on the right side of their D pairings. Oh, baby. I think 18th might be a little high for the Penguins. I'm going to move the Kraken too. This is the four I'm competing with. At 18 through 21, it's Pittsburgh, Minnesota, St. Louis, Seattle. So 18 through 21, those four spots. Those are my swappy doodle spots. I don't know who I got there. McCann, Beniers, Eberle, Schwartz, Chandler Stevenson, Burakovsky, Yanni Gord. Who's in goal? Grubauer, Decord. On the back end, Dunn, Larson, Oleksiak, Montour, Riker Evans, Will Borgen. I'm moving Seattle up. Seattle, congratulations. You get 18 on the power rankings. Pittsburgh, I'm sorry, you're out. All right, Seattle gets 18. We're going Minnesota at 19. Pittsburgh at 20. St. Louis at 21. 22. We got to do the next tier of... Now we're getting into like these two. Did I do the Kings yet? Oh, no. I left the Kings out of this conversation. My bad. The Kings should have been in this conversation here with these teams. It's the Islanders, then the Kings, then the Kraken. Yeah. Everybody was probably screaming at their phones or their computers, wherever you're watching right now, Jesse, the Kings. The Kings. It's Kings Kraken for sure. Like, as down as no, maybe the Kraken ahead. You know what? Kraken ahead of the Kings. Screw it. Kraken ahead of the Kings. Kraken 18, Kings 19. Big drop off for them. That's how down I am on Rob Blake's moves. Kraken, Kings, Wild, Penguins, Blues. Now we get interesting. The Flyers, who almost made the playoffs, I haven't even mentioned them. But this is the tier of the Philadelphia Flyers, the Ottawa Senators, the Buffalo Sabres. Utah is going to be decent. I'm at 25th, and I'm saying decent. Like, this is the bottom. Montreal Canadiens. I'm just filling out the rest here. And 32 is the Anaheim Ducks. 31 is the San Jose Sharks. 31 is the San Jose Sharks. 32. Oh, I haven't even mentioned Detroit's going to be decent. The end of the Atlantic Division is going to be so hard to judge. Montreal's at the bottom, I think, still rebuilding. Buffalo hasn't really taken any steps forward. Montreal, I could probably put Montreal ahead of Buffalo right now in these power rankings. In terms of power rankings, I'm putting Montreal ahead of Buffalo. I'm sorry. Montreal ahead of Buffalo. So I'm going to drop Buffalo down somewhere. Ottawa should be in the Buffalo tier, though. So I don't know if I can't put Montreal ahead, because then I'd also have to because I think Ottawa and Buffalo are on the same tier. So it's going to be some 1, 2, 3 of Buffalo, Ottawa, Buffalo, Montreal. Philly's there. Utah should probably be 23, just based on their improvements. And then I'm missing Detroit Red Wings, I think, are the best out of this bunch. So 24, Detroit Red Wings. And Columbus Blue Jackets are 30. So anybody listening, just to fill you out, just to catch you up, the bottom is solved. 32 is Anaheim. 31 is San Jose. 30 is Columbus. Those are the teams. That is it. That's like, there's no wavering on those bottom 3 teams. I think we've solved that. Like, write it down, put it in pen. Anaheim's looking real bleak here. Leo Carlson, Troy Terry, Zegras, Strome, Ryan, Cutter Gauthier, Frank Vetrano, Alex Killorn, Mason McTavish, Brian Dumoulin, Cam Fowler, Gudis. Not great for Anaheim. They're the last team in the league. San Jose at least tried to get some guys to play for them. Granlund, Zetterlund, Eklund, Celebrini, who might not play for them, Toffoli, Klim Kostin, Barclay Goudreau, Mario Ferraro, Jake Wallman, Jan Ruda, Mark-Edward Vlasic. That's the San Jose Sharks. Columbus in third last. Monahan, Goudreau, Marchenko, Fantilli, Jenner, Sillinger, Werenski, Severson, Provorov, Juracek, Jack Johnson, Goodbranson. I don't think Columbus is going to be that much better than last year. I think that's it. That's problem solved with the bottom 3. Now we get into the interesting territory where I think, unfortunately, just by virtue of process of elimination, the Montreal Canadiens, Chicago Blackhawks. Oh, all of that talking about how we've locked down the the bottom 3. No, we haven't. Chicago, welcome to the bottom 3. Columbus is better than you. I'm putting the Blackhawks behind the Blue Jackets, simply because I hesitated, because I had to check the goalies, and the goalies right now are Mrazek, Brossoit. Mrazek and Brossoit means Chicago is behind the Columbus Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets, welcome to number 29. You are out of the 30s. So the bottom 4 is Columbus, Chicago, San Jose, Anaheim. 28, I think, is Montreal. 27 is Buffalo. 26 is Ottawa. 25 is Detroit. And who am I missing here? Somebody's screaming right now about who I'm missing. I put Philly, St. Louis, Philly. All right. Buffalo, Calgary. The Calgary Flames. They do not come ahead of any of these teams. Calgary, for me, is 28. Calgary is so bleak. I'm sorry. Everybody's left Calgary in the last few years. The Calgary Flames are Huberdeau, Backlund, Coleman, Zary, Sharangovich, Mantha. Then the bottom 6, they have Kadri as the third line center. I don't know about that. Probably play a little higher in the lineup. We'll see. Defense, Weegar, Miromanov, Ball, Anderson. This is such an underwhelming Flames lineup. I don't see how they're back in the playoffs with Dustin Wolf and Dan Vladar as their starters. They easily, for me, number 28. Montreal, I can't put ahead of Buffalo, Ottawa, Detroit. That middle Atlantic, I think Montreal. Even though I'm really bullish on Montreal and who knows about my August rankings where I'll have them, but I'll have Montreal at 27, then Ottawa ahead of Buffalo, just because I think there's more promise in the young players in Ottawa than there is in the Sabres. Sabres were closer. No, Sabres were closer than the Senators last year. Screw it. I keep saying screw it with these decisions. Was Buffalo better than Detroit? I'm unsure. I'm unsure if they were better than Detroit. But they're definitely better than Ottawa right now on paper. I'm really down on the Sabres and their offseason moves, so they get to be below the Red Wings, who I have at 24. Red Wings are 24. Utah, I need to see it. I need to see it in action, but I'm very happy with how Utah's trying to improve right now and be an actual hockey team as opposed to a collection of bad contracts. So Utah 23. Philly almost made the playoffs last year. They get a boost because of that, even though on paper I think Utah might be ahead of Philly. I'm going to maybe swap these. No, I will lock in Utah at 23. That's interchangeable for me. Oh, let's look at the Utah lineup. We haven't done that. This might be the last thing we do here, and then I'm going to read off the full thing. Wow, this took 37 minutes. Oh my gosh, didn't expect that. Keller, Hayton, Schmaltz, Krause, Cooley, Genther, Michelli, Bukestad, Doan, Kerfoot, McBain, Stenlund, and on D, Sergachev, Dursey, Valimaki, Marino, Ian Cole, and Michael Kesslering. And in goal, they got Connor Ingram and Karel Vejmelka. Is that better than the Philly lineup, which we haven't pulled up yet? Let's just look at the Philly lineup before we close it out here and read our list, our power rankings. Couturier, Forrester, Konecny, Tippett, Frost, Matev, Mishkov. No, Utah, welcome. Welcome, Utah, to number 23 on the list. After looking at both lineups, I have to move Utah ahead of the Flyers. I like the Utah lineup better than the Flyers lineup. The Flyers might even drop behind Detroit, but not right now. Maybe in August. All right, that's it. Let's do it. Oh, I did that all with you. I was going to do the power rankings and then do the video and just talk about each one, but the video /pod, what you're listening to, has just become me making the power rankings. And this is it. Let's read it off. 1, Florida. 2, Edmonton. 3, New York. 4, Dallas. 5, Vancouver. 6, Nashville. 7, Colorado. 8, Tampa. 9, Carolina. 10, Winnipeg. 11, Vegas. 12, Boston. 13, Toronto. 14, New Jersey. Oh, I went 14 to 16. Who's the team I'm missing? What just happened? Okay, let me see the rest of the 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, I have 220. So 15, let me restart that. 12, Boston. 13, Toronto. 14, New Jersey. 15, Washington. 16, New York Islanders. 17, Seattle Kraken. 18, Los Angeles Kings. 19, Minnesota Wild. 20, Pittsburgh Penguins. 21, St. Louis Blues. 22, Utah Yeti. 23, Philadelphia Flyers. 24, Detroit Red Wings. 25, Buffalo Sabres. 26, Ottawa Senators. 27, Montreal Canadiens. 28, Calgary Flames. 29, Columbus Blue Jackets. 30, Chicago Blackhawks. 31, San Jose Sharks. 32, Anaheim Ducks. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be watching or listening to this for 40 minutes as I figured out the NHL July Power Rankings, the official JBSR list. I'm going to be doing this again at the beginning of August. This is fun. This is a good time with all of you. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about this list. Where did I go wrong? Did I dump on your favorite team too much? Did I believe in them too much? Did I not believe in them enough? Let me know in the comments or on Twitter or on Instagram, wherever you want to interact with this program. Whew, this is a good time. All right, hit like on the video if you haven't hit like on it. Hit subscribe on the Jesse Blake Sports Report channel if you haven't subscribed to it. Give this podcast a rating if you listen on Apple or Spotify. I really appreciate it. Good night from Toronto.
And that is how it's done.
The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
Jesse Blake, the guy that likes to hear his name twice in one sentence. Sure, I know him. No, he doesn't have an ego at all.